Hi, in this podcast, we're going to discuss whether the DP World Tour is about to ditch the PGA Tour and partner with LIV Golf. Well, before we get into this real topic, I think we just need to quickly rewind and just discuss how we've ended up in this situation. So, back in, I think it was 2022, LIV Golf was launched and it turned the world of professional golf upside down. The PGA Tour never thought that any of their major players would leave them and go to the to LIV Golf. But then, of course, that slowly started to happen, and it happened in subsequent years afterwards. So in order for the PGA Tour to strengthen its position, it had to do something to stop the DP World Tour from also partnering with LIV Golf, which would have strengthened their whole product. And the DP World Tour, from what I can gather, never really had any serious conversations with LIV Golf and brokered a deal with the PGA Tour. Now, I have to say that I've always struggled to understand how that deal, where you lose your 10 best players every single year, could be good for the overall health of your tour, being the DP World Tour. How do you keep going back to sponsors and asking them for money to sponsor events when your 10 biggest stars from the previous year have all disappeared across the Atlantic to play on the PGA Tour? I've never really understood how that could be good for building and strengthening the DP World Tour over time. So, why do I think that the DP World Tour is currently thinking of, or is about to partner with LIV Golf? Well, ever since LIV Golf was launched and this thing just came out of left field and just turned professional golf upside down, I've been absolutely just intrigued by the whole story and narrative of what's going on. We could never have seen this coming. We could never have believed that this would happen. And one thing that I've learned over that time is there's a certain social media accounts and podcasts that are definitely getting fed information by LIV Golf. So, for instance, they were the first people to even mention that Jon Rahm was going to be possibly leaving to LIV Golf, and obviously that happened. And there's been loads of other bits of information that they've given out that has turned out to be absolutely 100% true. Now, I do have to just caveat that as well, which there has been some information that hasn't happened. Things like Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay about to go to LIV Golf. Another one they put out was Tony Finau. I think Tony Finau was going to actually sign with LIV Golf, but there's some kind of contract that he's got going on that he's disputing in court, and that prevented him from signing this agreement with LIV Golf, because it would have meant, because of this contract, he would have had to give a lot of that money away. That's what basically I kind of read and found out about it. Again, that's allegedly, that's just something that I saw. But may explain why Tony Finau had a very late change of heart and didn't sign for LIV Golf. But a lot of what these guys put out there, a lot more of it comes true than doesn't come true. And these are people like Flushing It on X, and the other one is Pro Golf Critic and Golf Lover UK, who've got a podcast called Golf Lovers United. Now, these guys are definitely in bed with LIV Golf because they get invited to all kinds of events. Only in the last 10 days, they were over in America playing golf as an invite by Jerry Foltz, who's one of the announcers with LIV Golf. So I'm very confident that these guys are getting fed reliable information. And just recently, literally, only in the last couple of days, they put out a tweet that said, I'll read it out to you now. It said, given some new information, it sounds like you may want to re-watch and listen to our podcast from September the 5th, 6th. We're feeling like this is going to age very well. So let me just move my microphone over here. Hopefully this will pick it up. Let's just listen to what they said on this podcast, and what they're saying now, basically on information that they've been given, is, looks like it could happen.
I genuinely think that there is a very strong chance we see the DP World Tour and the International Series sitting alongside each other, funded by PIF.
Yeah.
With LIV sitting over the top. PGA Tour, go and do what you want to do. If you want to give our players access to make your tour better, we're not going to stand in the way. Our players can come and play with you if it fits their schedule, because that's Liv's strong card. We'll always allow people to go and play. You can go and play wherever you want if it doesn't clash with ours. Go play wherever you want. We've got 14 events a year. You've got 4 majors. If you want to go play another 4 events, go and play. And then I'll go to PGA Tour if they want to allow that. And then the PGA Tour can go, okay, we'll allow some players over, and the PGA Tour can do it with another 850 million in their back pocket because they're no longer paying for the DP World Tour.
Right.
So what they're saying is that the DP World Tour is going to partner with LIV, and it's going to sit alongside the International Series underneath LIV Golf. So why would the DP World Tour consider doing this, and why is this possibly happening? Well, there's a lot of things going on also here which could suggest that this could actually be true. And one is the previous management who brokered the deal with the PGA Tour is no longer in place. Keith Pelly was the CEO, and he was basically the architect of the agreement with the PGA Tour. And he is no longer there. It's now Guy Kinnings that is involved. And also, you've got to remember that back in 2022, when LIV Golf was trying to partner with the DP World Tour, when it was just starting off, it was a massive risk for the DP World Tour to sign with LIV Golf, because back then no one knew whether LIV Golf was going to be a success. No one really knew whether the Saudis were going to continue to fund it or whether they were just going to keep burning cash. There was a lot of uncertainty around LIV Golf, whereas LIV Golf now is in a completely different place. Almost all professional golfers have accepted that LIV Golf is now part of the pro golf ecosystem, Rory being the biggest one. So partnering with LIV Golf now is a lot less of a risk for the DP World Tour than it was before. And also, the one thing that I've never got my head round with this deal that they did with the PGA Tour is that you lose your 10 best players every single year. How can you build your tour and strengthen your tour over time if your 10 best players are continually disappearing every single year to go across and strengthen the PGA Tour? That just never made any sense to me whatsoever. So what would partnering with LIV Golf do to strengthen the DP World Tour? Well, first of all, it's going to be funded by the PIF, which is the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which funds LIV Golf. So straight away, the purses on the DP World Tour will be massively increased. The top 10 players won't disappear to the PGA Tour every year. They will be encouraged to stay on the DP World Tour because those purses are going to allow them to earn an extremely good living by being successful on the DP World Tour. And also, you would think that there will be a pathway from the International Series and from the DP World Tour to get yourself onto LIV Golf, and then you've got access to the richest, the biggest money in professional golf. One of the biggest issues I've got with LIV Golf is the lack of opportunities to earn yourself onto the LIV Tour. So how they change that by partnering with the DP World Tour and having the International Series, I'm not sure. Now, I think that last year, one of the most compelling events and the most interesting ones to watch was their promotions event where 4 people could earn their way onto the LIV Golf Tour. This was, to me, it was far more compelling to watch because you're watching some guys here that not a lot of them that we knew, and they had this opportunity to change their lives. They could basically, by getting in the top 4, get onto the LIV Tour and earn the kind of money that just was not available to them by playing on the tours that they were currently playing on. They were essentially playing to change their lives, and that made it very, very compelling viewing. And 4 is not enough. I think there needs to be more that get promoted and relegated. But the way that the LIV Golf League is structured makes that a little bit more difficult. And then to find out this year that the promotions event is only going to have 1 place available to get onto the LIV Golf League, I've got to say, was extremely disappointing. I mean, that's just not good. For me, that's just not good enough. So within this partnership, if the DP World Tour are going to do these negotiations right, then they've got to try and find a way for more of their players to have the opportunity to earn themselves a place onto LIV Golf. And I'm not quite sure how that's actually going to work out. Another thing to consider here, if this is actually true, and this is actually going on behind the scenes, and it does possibly happen, is the messaging that it sends out. The messaging that the DP World Tour is actually saying, we think now we're better off with these guys than we were with these guys, is a massive messaging problem for the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is by far the best and the biggest professional golf tour in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. But it's incredibly diluted its product since LIV Golf's come along than what it was before, because it's lost quite a few of its major stars. And if they don't get a deal done, there's everything to suggest that more stars will move across. And that's just because history has told us that that has always happened. And they can't afford to be further diluted. So on top of that, for the DP World Tour to actually go, we're leaving these guys now because we think we're better off over here, is another massive kick in the bollocks for the PGA Tour and its reputation. And that can't be allowed to happen. And another thing that I've noticed just recently is there's been a massive acceleration in meetings between Yasser Al-Rumayyan from the PIF and Jay Monahan from the PGA Tour. They met at the Dunhill Links. It's just been reported that they're meeting up again at the Aramco Ladies Series in Saudi Arabia. These are two guys that just hadn't got together at all, really, since June the 6th, and the framework agreement was announced. And all of a sudden, there's this increased activity where they're getting together. Is that because the PGA Tour have got wind that the DP World Tour are thinking of leaving them and going to side with LIV Golf? Could that be a reason for all of this increased activity and urgency to try and find a deal? And let's make one thing absolutely clear here. DP World Tour signing with LIV Golf does not solve our problem with professional golf. In fact, it probably makes it worse. The actual solution is that all of these three tours come to an agreement and they all work together around some kind of world tour schedule. You know, I think a lot of people who are big pro PGA Tour followers were just hoping that LIV Golf would fizzle out and disappear. It's quite all the Saudis would lose interest in it and stop funding it. There's been absolutely no sign of that happening whatsoever. So now we've got to accept that it looks like LIV Golf is part of the golf ecosystem, professional golf ecosystem, and the solution now is actually getting an agreement that brings all three tours together in a way that works for all three tours. And again, that is not the easiest thing to do. So please, get in the comments, let me know what you think. What do you think about the current deal the DP World Tour has got and losing its 10 best players? Do you think that you agree with me, where you think that that's just not a great thing? You can't strengthen and build your tour if you're losing your 10 best players all the time. Or do you think that actually having that carrot for the DP World Tour and that opportunity for people to go and earn their way onto the PGA Tour, that is actually a positive and it's going to encourage people to play the DP World Tour? Do you think that this idea of signing with LIV Golf and retaining its players and increased purses and a massive influx of money into it and, you know, increasing its sponsors because, you know, it's going to retain players more, do you think that is actually going to be better for the DP World Tour? I think we all agree, and again, get in the comments if we do, we all agree that actually the best solution is that we find an agreement which incorporates all three tours together, and then we can get everyone playing together more regularly, get rid of all of this divide, and then we can move professional golf on from there. That would be the best solution. Now, maybe this rumbling that the DP World Tour is talking to LIV Golf about a partnership is also going to help accelerate and find that overall agreement to bring everyone back together. Because that, for sure, if that is happening, that is going to be setting off some massive alarm bells in Ponte Vedra PGA headquarters. 100%, because that is going to be a terrible, terrible message being sent out by the DP World Tour, like I said earlier, by saying that we think we're better off now partnering with these guys than where we were before. please get in the comments. Let me know what you think. You know, do you think that this is possibly happening? Do you think that the DP World Tour, under this new management, they are considering partnering with LIV Golf, or do you think that this is all pie in the sky and it's just not happening and it's not going to happen? Always interested to hear your comments. Please, I look forward to reading them, and I'll see you in the next podcast.